set. Hello, I'm Pastor Ken Nelson of Calvary Lutheran Church in Brookfield, Wisconsin. I'm pleased to be joined today by Dr. Leonard Sax, who is coming to Calvary April 26th and 27th for a series of workshops which we invite you to join us for. Dr. Sax is a physician with over 30 years experience in family practice and holds a PhD in psychology from the University of Pennsylvania. He is an internationally recognized speaker on parenting, adolescent, and teen development. He has been a guest on numerous media, including The Today Show, CNN, Headline News, PBS, Fox News, and NPR's Weekend Edition. Dr. Sax is a New York Times best-selling author of 4 books: Why Gender Matters, Girls on the Edge, Boys Adrift, and The Collapse of Parenting. We are excited and honored to be bringing him to Calvary and the Brookfield area for 5 workshops on topics of importance and interest to parents, grandparents, educators, and faith leaders. Dr. Sax, thank you for joining me today.
Thanks for inviting me.
Based on your years in medical practice and your extensive research, what they can expect from your presentations at Calvary later this month.
Okay, well, let's talk about each of those 4 evening presentations for parents in no particular order. How about if we start with Boys Adrift? So what's Boys Adrift? So I graduated from my public high school. I attended public schools outside Cleveland, Ohio, K through 12. And I remember our honors ceremony when I graduated back in 1977. The honors assembly, all the kids who were graduating, who were earning highest honors up on the stage, it was all boys. The award for poetry went to a boy. The editor of the school newspaper was a boy, Andy Borowitz. Actually, he's gone on to have a great career. He writes a regular column for the New Yorker magazine called the Borowitz Report. There were very few girls on stage. And back in that era, scholars like Myra and David Sadker were writing articles and books about how girls are shortchanged because, look, all the high achievers are boys. Okay, that's not the way it is anymore. Look, the fact that girls are doing better is not a problem. It's cause for celebration. The question is, why can't their brothers keep up with them? Why have we flipped completely the other way, so that when you now look at honors assemblies, you find it's all girls. There are no boys on the stage. Or to be more quantitative, when you look at who are the valedictorians in the United States from high schools across the United States, you find that girls outnumber boys 3 to 1. And those boys who are valedictorians, incidentally, are typically not white, black, or Latino. They're East Asian or South Asian. They're children of parents who've recently immigrated from East Asia or South Asia. For white, black, and Latino boys, working hard to get a good mark at school is now uncool, is now unmasculine. Who earned a 4-year degree last year at an American college or university? Women outnumbered men by more than 2 to 1. But who graduated with highest honors? Again, women outnumbered men by almost 3 to 1. University of Michigan, Ann Arbor Medical School, women now outnumber men by 2 to 1, 66-33. At Harvard Medical School, it's 60-40. Again, the fact that more women are doing well is cause for celebration. Why can't their brothers keep up with them? Why do we find a growing proportion of boys who are less motivated than their sisters? There's not one factor in play. There are 5. The subtitle of that book is The 5 Factors Driving the Growing Epidemic of Unmotivated Boys and Underachieving Young Men. But the good news is that you, the parent, can do something about it. Each of these factors are actually pretty easy to fix if you understand what's going on. It doesn't cost anything. It just requires parents who understand what's happening and who have the courage to intervene.
Thank you. Yeah.
So that's one. Another is Girls on the Edge, another presentation. Girls are not the winners here. Girls are now outnumbering boys among the valedictorians and recipients of academic honors and graduates from 4-year colleges. But girls are now much more likely to be anxious or depressed compared with girls from the same demographic just 10 years ago. Most recent data for the Centers for Disease Control, 57% of American teenage girls now report feeling persistently sad or hopeless.
Mhm.
They're doing better than their brothers in school, but they're miserable, they're anxious, they're depressed.
Yeah.
What is going on with that?
Mhm.
Again, I think we have a very good handle on what's going on with that. In this case, there's 4 separate factors that we will address. And what's striking to me is how relevant biblical insights are
Mhm.
here. So when you
Mhm.
read the Song of Songs,
Mhm.
there is a female narrator who repeats the same line 3 times in Song of Songs. She says, I command you, I charge you, daughters of Jerusalem, do not arouse, do not awaken love before its time. Do
Mhm.
not arouse, do not awaken love before its time. She says that 3 times in 3 different places.
Mhm.
So she's advising us, yeah, it is possible for girls to become sexual earlier than they should. It's a really bad idea.
Mhm.
And yet American popular culture is now pushing exactly this premature sexuality on girls, which the Bible teaches us quite rightly, based on the research, is a really bad thing to do. That's
Yeah.
one part of one factor that's driving this growing epidemic of anxiety and depression. Again, this is fixable. You can do this. If you understand what's going on, you can protect your daughter. You can help her to become the woman she's meant to be. You can help her not to succumb to this epidemic of
Mhm.
anxiety and depression that is now engulfing the majority of American teenage girls. And it starts early. It starts earlier and earlier. And we're going to address issues going right down to girls at kindergarten age. So, boys adrift, girls on the edge, the collapse of parenting, or evidence based parenting. I read a book called The Collapse of Parenting. The original title of that book was The Collapse of American Parenting, and the
Mm.
subtitle was Why Most Kids Would Now Be Better Off Raised Outside North America. But if you're not a celebrity, you don't get to choose your title.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
my publisher, Laura Heimer, said, come on, Dr. Sachs, no one's moving to the South Island of New Zealand. I hold up the South Island of New Zealand as a very good place to raise kids. But she said, you're not moving, and your
Mhm.
readers aren't moving. So get
Right.
real. Uh, and that's where I begin. Okay, so American
Mhm.
culture is now immensely toxic. And we talk about how it's toxic and how it
Mhm.
has changed. This is not the culture of the Andy Griffith Show,
Right.
or Loggins and Messina. This is the culture of Cardi B, Megan Thee Stallion, Bruno Mars, and Lil
Right.
Nas X. And we talk about what that means and why that is a toxic culture and what you need to do to improve the odds. What can you do that will greatly improve the odds of your kid fulfilling their potential and being healthy and happy 20 years down the road? These are not guesses. The presentation is called evidence-based parenting.
Mhm.
It's built around longitudinal cohort studies in which researchers have followed cohorts of kids from childhood through adolescence right up to 32, 38, 50 years of age.
Mhm.
These studies allow us to say, hey, this is the kind of parenting that will be most likely to yield a young person who has fulfilled their potential. And this other kind of parenting is much less likely. It's more likely to yield a kid who's anxious, depressed, or disengaged. We've got good research on this point. That's what I present in the book. That's what I'll present in that presentation. And the 4th presentation for parents, why are so many kids now so fragile? Kid seems to be doing well and then just falls apart.
Mhm.
That's actually a pretty new finding. That wasn't characteristic of American kids 20 or 30 years ago. American kids today are more fragile and less resilient than they were. Why? I think we've got a very good handle on why.
Mhm.
And I think we have some very concrete strategies that we can be confident will help your child to be more resilient or beyond resilient, as I think is the title of that talk, Beyond Resilience.
Mhm. Beyond resilience.
So, 4 different talks. I can promise attendees there's no overlap,
Mhm.
but also you don't have to attend one in order to understand the others. These 4 presentations stand independently. They complement each other.
Mhm.
They're not built on one another. They all stand alone. And you can see them in any order. You can see 1, 2, 3, or 4, and there's no overlap. So you can come to all 4. I hope you will, and you will see that they are all using different evidence to provide parents with concrete evidence-based strategies to improve the odds for every child, for every teenager.
We mentioned also that you're going to be doing a sort of, I'll call it a bonus for us at Calvary. We're going to be having you do a workshop during the day. So I realize the time isn't always convenient for everybody that might be listening to this, but at 10 a.m. on Thursday, the 27th, you're going to be doing a talk that I can't wait to hear as a faith leader and as a pastor, entitled "What a Boy Needs to Become a Man of Faith is Different from What a Girl Needs to Become a Woman of Faith." Again, that's at 10 a.m. on Thursday, the 27th at Calvary. Why don't you say just a little bit about that?
Sure. So my book, Girls on the Edge, the last 3 chapters are mind, body, and spirit. And that last chapter, Spirit, is about what girls need to become a woman of faith. And when I first set out to write the first edition many years ago, I was like, well, I'm not sure there's going to be a lot of research on this. Actually, there is. We have lots of good scholarly research published in peer-reviewed journals showing that what a girl needs to become a woman of faith is different from what a boy needs to become a man of faith. What are those differences? How well are American churches deploying those gender-aware strategies? Well, not real well. Some are doing better than others. And I share what I've learned by visiting churches, synagogues, and mosques across the United States. But I'll give you the bottom line right here. Girls need a community of women. Boys need a community of men. They don't need pizza parties where they hang out with one another. That's not what they need to become women and men of faith. How have other churches done this successfully? What does it look like? How do you do it? Does it cost much? No, it doesn't. So I will share those strategies in that workshop.
Thank you so very much. We can't wait for you to come to Calvary and give a gift of your extensive years in this area to our community. So thank you so much for sharing your time with me today, Leonard. A reminder to everybody that Dr. Sax, again, Wednesday, April 26th from 6 to 9 p.m. And again, on Thursday, the 27th from 6 to 9 p.m. The cost of each evening session, and that includes, both sessions or just one if you can only attend one, but the cost for the entire evening session is $10 per household. And you can register online on this website, which is www.calvarylc.com. And the Thursday morning session as well, which is geared toward faith leaders truly, but anyone interested in this topic are welcome to join us for that. Cost of that session is also just $10. So we hope to see you on the 26th and 27th at Calvary as we host Dr. Leonard Sax. Thank you again, Leonard, for being with me today.
Thanks again for inviting me.